Howdy folks. After AC/DC released their first album, High Voltage, they decided to go a step further with their follow-up album, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Well, I figured you wanted me to do that. I mean, you even said that that would be a good idea, seeing as that I'm going to do video games reviews and well, aren't we the pot calling the kettle black? I mean, you're on camera whenever I am, Big Mouth. You tell them. Or do you just want to lay there and look cute? This guy. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the history behind this particular album.
Despite the fact that High Voltage made AC/DC more well-known outside of Australia, it didn't exactly become a hot seller. In fact, most reviews for the album back then were somewhat lukewarm. Hell, Rolling Stone magazine gave the High Voltage album an unfavorable review, which is kind of ironic, seeing as that years later, Rolling Stone would revise their original review and give it a more favorable critique. It should also be known that prior to the release of Dirty Deeds, AC/DC had already gone on 4 tours. However, all of those tours were mostly performed in Australia, the UK, and Scotland. And that makes sense. A band, or at least a good band, isn't going to start doing worldwide tours until a few years up the road. But I digress.
It makes sense that AC/DC decided to make their next album better. When bands first start, they usually improve on themselves. Unless they happen to be get-rich-and-quit one-hit wonders, a band will release an album, or EP, and they make said album, or EP, to where it won't overshadow its successors. And AC/DC did just that. But enough beating around the bush, let's get into the review, shall we? Well, in typical AC/DC fashion, the song starts off hard and strong. It doesn't fuck around. It gets right to the point, and in AC/DC's case, that's a good thing. For a start song on an album, there are no start solos by anyone in particular. It's just Angus, Malcolm, Phil, and Mark all playing their instruments simultaneously. Then a few seconds in, we get Bon on vocals. The song was written by Angus, Malcolm, and Bon, but it was Angus in particular who was inspired to write this song after some research, I found that this song makes a subtle little reference to the cartoon character Dishonest John from the old Beanie and Cecile cartoons. That was a cartoon show that Malcolm used to watch when he was a kid. The song is talking about a man who does dirty deeds, thus the name of the song, for a small charge. Thus the lyrics, if you're having trouble with the high school head, he's giving you the blues. You want to graduate but not in his bed, here's what you gotta do. Pick up the phone, I'm always home, call me anytime, just ring 362-436, hey. I lead a life of crime. It's a very good song, and one of AC/DC's catchiest. As I mentioned in my previous review, one of AC/DC's favorite subjects when it comes to lyrical content is sex. But what makes this song different from all the other AC/DC songs about sex is that this one is about sex with an underage groupie. Now, I don't know how believable that is, but if the song is meant to be believed, then Bon, or one of the other band members, did a very, very dirty deed. Anyway, the song starts off with some drumming and riffing by Mark and Angus, and then the song picks up with some scene with Bon singing. This happens to be my second favorite song on this album, And I don't know why, but I'm always reminded of the video game Tony Hawk's Underground. Maybe because one of AC/DC's songs was used in that game's predecessor, but I don't know. I've always felt that Neversoft should have put this song in one of the Tony Hawk games. It just seems like it would have fit. There is nothing subtle about this song. It's about testicles, and how AC/DC had big ones. Though my cousin Heather, who's just as big as a rock, metal, and punk enthusiast as I am, thinks that it's about parties. And she may be right about that. But in my opinion, the song is about cojones. Anyway, the song starts off with some percussion, bass, and rhythm string from Phil, Mark, and Malcolm. Then Angus joins in with his signature Les Paul. And finally, we get the vocals from Bon. This is a very funny song. And AC/DC is not a comedy rock band, so this is rare for them. It should be known that this is the shortest song on the entire album. In other words, this song is nothing but a 2-minute and 39-second joke about nads. But it's still worth listening to. This is my favorite song on the entire album. In fact, this tune is ranked in my top 20 favorite AC/DC songs of all time. It's fast, it's upbeat, it's in your face, it's AC-fucking-DC, man. The song starts off with Angus, Malcolm, Mark, and Phil all together playing their hearts out. Then 11.5 seconds in, Bon starts singing. The song is mostly talking about what Bon, or Angus, or Malcolm is, and that's a rocker. And that's pretty much it. This song is so good that it was even referenced by a villain in the first Mad Max movie.
I'm a fuel-injected suicide machine. I'm a rocker. I'm a roller.
And I don't know why, and call me weird, but for some reason I think this song would have gone well in a particular scene in Home Alone 2.
Maybe because it has to do with the alternating current direct current symbol on the charger that Macaulay Culkin uses to shock Daniel Stern with, or that the logo on the charger looks very similar to AC/DC's Dirty Deeds logo. Either way, great song, and it's a must-listen to track on Dirty Deeds.
This one is a classic. I believe that this song is talking about AC/DC, how they were when they were kids. It's a very upbeat song. It almost feels like a glam metal song from the 80s. Though it should be known that a lot of glam metal bands were influenced by AC/DC. True story. So anyway, the song starts off with some riffs by Angus and really good percussion by Mark. In fact, out of all the songs on the album, Problem Child probably has the best percussion. It's a great song, and yet again another catchy tune from AC/DC. During the 60s and 70s, another popular subgenre of rock was Southern rock. It was mostly popular in the United States, but it also managed to find its way into other nations. Now, AC/DC was not a Southern rock band, but this song is. Compare this song to Lynyrd Skynyrd's Call Me the Breeze or Blackfoot's Feeling Good, and you folks will get what I'm talking about. It's almost like AC/DC was trying to tap into the folksy-esque boogie style of the Southern rock bands of the time. It's a very good song. And I would say that this is one of AC/DC's most underrated songs of all time. It's good, really good. This is another feel-good, upbeat song by AC/DC. Yeah, most of their songs were upbeat. Anyway, The song is talking about life on the road for an up-and-coming rock and roll player. This is another song that, for some reason, I think should have been in a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game. Don't ask me why. For some strange reason, I think quite a few Bon Scott era AC/DC songs would have been awesome in a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game. You're wrong, dickhead. And by the way, Activision is making another Tony Hawk Pro Skater game. Read 'em and weep, you freaking neurotic jerk-off. Bet your sweet ass you do. Anyway, Ain't No Fun Waiting Around to Be a Millionaire is a great song, and yet again, another underrated AC/DC tune. A real mellow song, this one. I like the fact... Alright. All you had to do was ask. Jesus. And now we move on to the final song of Dirty Deeds, and boy ain't it a keeper. This song has some of the best bass playing that I've ever heard in a hard rock song. You see, kids, this is why you need a bass in your band. It's another song about sex, and how Bon can make a chick squeal just by simply touching them. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Bon, as well as the entire band for that matter, was actually capable of doing such a thing. Bon was a ladies' man if there ever was one. Why do you think all the hair metal dudes of the 80s wanted to emulate that attitude? This song was subtly mentioned in the game Brutal Legend.
If you folks out there haven't heard of this game yet, then go look it up, and then buy it. I command thee! Anyway, there's a character in that game named Fleetus that bears a slight resemblance to Brian Johnson, the current vocalist of AC/DC, and we'll get to that eventually. And he drives this Ed Roth-inspired rat car that he calls the Squealer. You race Fleetus in the game, and it's been a while since I played Brutal Legend, so I can't remember what you actually win after you race him. And mind you, you have to race him more than once, so...
Anyway, spectacular song, and yet again, another underrated AC/DC song. It seems like the entire album was just full of underrated and underappreciated songs. Well, as I said before, AC/DC really outdid themselves with Dirty Deeds. Fortunately, people are starting to realize just how awesome this album is. If you call yourself an AC/DC fan, this is a must-have for your collection. Get it. I don't care how, if it has to be on cassette, CD, MP3, or vinyl, or even an 8-track, for 8-track, I said 8-track. Get the damn thing. It's well worth it. Well, folks, I'm going to start wrapping it up here. But join me next time as we take a look at the next album in the Bon Scott era lineup, Let There Be Rock. Well, folks, I'll see y'all next time. And as always, y'all come back now. You hear?